When The Simpsons aired Miracle on Evergreen Terrace in 1997, viewers saw it as a dark, cynical take on Christmas. To this day, you'll find amongst those who've seen it, people love it or hate it in a lot of weird ways. It's oddly divisive. On the one side, people hate it because it's just ending with this incredible downer. On the other side, people love it because it ends on a downer. But it's not. Not to me, at least. See, in fact, I always found it to be maybe the most hopeful, wonderful ending. Even as I was deep in the rebellious and angsty teen years of 17, I still thought so. So, I wanted to revisit it tonight as Christmas is in the morning. If I can combine theory, Klosowski with The Simpsons and the spirit of Christmas, well, that's kind of clickbait gold. I'm hoping to unwrap it. This Simpsons episode begins with familiar Christmas cynicism. The Simpsons themselves obsessing over toys and gifts. Bart, unable to wait, sneaks down in the middle of the night to play with his new toys and accidentally sets everything on fire. This melts everything into this giant green Christmas puck that he then drags out and buries in the yard. To avoid getting in trouble, he tells his parents that a burglar took everything just moments before they came downstairs.
I saw a burglar and he got all our stuff, including the tree.
His lie about this robbery prompts an outpouring of community support. This gives them money to replace what was stolen leading up to this moment. And everything up to this moment, every line is about the way that the things they have make them feel. See, the car they have, it's shitty.
Stupid heater!
This old tree they had was too fake.
This year's tree is just perfect. That old aluminum one was so fake.
The Christmas lights are...
It's craptacular.
Everything they say is about stuff, how it makes them feel. Now, the moment their new stuff is gone, well, the characters begin repeating that cliche that Christmas isn't about presents.
Hey, since when is Christmas just about the presents?
But this rings hollow. Clearly, just a way to cope with their loss. Marge makes the familiar refrain of,
"This is the one day that shouldn't be about material things."
Now, Christmas itself is expressly about material things. We immediately seen this in action as the Simpsons walk, thanks to their shitty car, down their street, only to be accosted by these amazing Christmas mornings had by other families who have their material things. Now, this is weird because we know it's true. Sure, snowmobiles are expensive, but it's not really about expensive things. Say the Flanders themselves, they have a unicycle, a stuffed pony thing the kids are playing on. Milhouse shows up out of nowhere to be excited to have this Tickle Me Krusty doll that begs you not to molest it. The old folks, well, they're just...
Oh, the pharmaceutical man come by, and he shot us full of Christmas cheer. Yeah.
Well, on learning of the Simpsons' loss, the whole town shows up quickly to get the Simpsons all their stuff back. Marge sees this and declares it
Homer, you won't believe what's happened. It's a miracle.
as cash pours onto their table. With the $15,000 donated, the Simpsons go and overspend on a new car that isn't shitty. And everyone, save Bart, who knows this entire thing is kind of a charade, is celebrating Christmas happily together again. Until, well, the car...
That was close.
Oh, I knew this would happen.
leaving the family again with nothing. The truth comes out. The family is ostracized for some time. Until again, the townspeople randomly show up at the Simpsons' home, and again Marge sees this and says,
My, they've forgiven us. It's a miracle.
Until she sees that they're just taking everything, even stuff that's nailed down supposedly, out of the Simpsons' home to repay their debt. Moe says,
Well, we hated being mad at you, Homer, so we decided to make things right.
This action leaves only one single washcloth in the home of the Simpsons. Small one, which at first they sort of fight over, but that fight turns to laughter as the credits roll.
Besides, it's mine. Yoink.
Hey, she's getting away with the washcloth!
Head her off at the stairs!
Mark, you go around that way.
I've never really understood how this episode's a downer. I've read everyone else saying it, and I kind of want to go through why. See, to fully understand why, we sort of have to talk about how objects and impulses really work in our lives. See, Pierre Klosowski in Living Currency argues our entire economy is built on this really weird paradox. See, we think we want objects, but what we really want are the emotions and sensations that those objects provide. Think of the image of them. Think of Christmas morning as a child. What you remember isn't often the toy itself, but the feeling of anticipation, the shared excitement you feel opening gifts as dad sits and takes photos. Mom enjoys tearing open her presents. The way your parents watched you play with it. These things, this object, this is a vessel for these shared emotional experiences. Klosowski called this the living currency of sensation. The real thing being exchanged isn't a toy and cash, not really. Instead, it's about the feelings that it generates. We see this play out perfectly in this episode. See, when Bart destroys the presents, what's lost isn't really the objects themselves. It's the anticipated morning of shared joy and excitement. That's why replacing the gifts with money from the town, well, it wouldn't really fix things, and buying the car didn't really fix things either. This is kind of how this works. The moment, the potential moment for that shared experience, well, it's melted, like the tree, like the presents and out in the yard. Here's where, though, it gets really fascinating. See, when the townspeople take everything the Simpsons own, well, they're stripping away all vessels that exist for the Simpsons to have. All those vessels of possible sensations in all sorts of ways. There's no TV for them to gather around, no comfy couch for them to sit on or run in together suddenly at the beginning of an episode. There's no toys for them to play with. There's just this washcloth. And in this moment of absolute material poverty, something remarkable happens. The family creates the same sensations of joy and play, but more directly, not needing these other objects as intermediaries. See, the washcloth scene is brilliant because it shows how any object, even the most mundane, can become precious when it facilitates shared sensations. The family's not fighting over the washcloth because it's actually valuable. I hope no one reads it like that. I'm sure someone did. They're playing with it because it gives them an excuse to chase each other, to laugh, to share a moment of joy, to release this, to have that miracle. That's the miracle. They've cut the middleman out of expensive commodities, out of images given to them, and found a way to generate those desired sensations simply in something that they probably didn't even expect. Their impulses found a way. Klosowski would argue this reveals the true nature of our relationship with objects. They aren't ends in themselves, even a washcloth, but instead tools we use to generate feelings in ourselves and share feelings with others. Think of it as this: the Christmas presents we give, it's not about literal transference of ownership of objects, even if that does happen. They're about creating moments of shared emotion, anticipation, gratitude, joy. One of the most famous gift parables and stories maybe ever told is O. Henry. O. Henry wrote a bunch of famous short stories of couples in love, but specifically Gift of the Magi. It's the one where one sells her hair to buy a chain for her love's pocket watch. Her love sells his pocket watch to buy a comb for his love's hair. This story is told in many circles, and it's done as a story that proves that material goods don't matter. The Gift of the Magi. Again, what I've just described is lauded as proof of the transcendent enjoyment of love and selfless gifting. So what the fuck are the gifts? What is the fucking material? If he hadn't given the brush, if she hadn't given the chain, that emotion wouldn't be shared. Gift of the Magi doesn't show us self-sacrifice is truly what matters. Material goods are irrelevant to us. We're beautiful spiritual creatures. No. It shows us how fucking important material goods are to be able to show someone that we truly love them. The goods are the vessel. It's the fulcrum with which we leverage and experience the sensations we can share with someone. A better writer, by a wide margin, Truman Capote. He wrote A Christmas Memory. And to me, it has always eclipsed O. Henry in how little it shies away from the reality of the excitement of purchasing. It's something you find a lot in those who've experienced true poverty. You see shitting on the enjoyment of buying things. That's quite literally a luxury the rich can afford. He grew up very poor. He and his family would make a huge number of fruitcakes every year at Christmas for famous, beloved people who probably never even knew that these children, these people, poured the last pennies they had every day into a small purse that they hid all year just so they could buy the right ingredients. Capote doesn't shy away from how absolutely enervating that is. Tomorrow, the kind of work I like best begins. Buying cherries, citron, ginger and vanilla, canned Hawaiian pineapple, rinds and raisin, and walnuts and whiskey, and oh so much flour butter, so many eggs, spices, flavorings. Why, we'll need a pony to pull the buggy home. The joy of making these cakes and giving them. They sent them to FDR. The joy is indescribable. Now, pick your television show, pick your film. The recurring reality is that these goods, the purchasing of them, the making of something, the giving of material goods, this is what gives us sensations. This is how we share them. See, capitalism itself, it sells us objects by promising sensations, but in doing so, often obscures the fact that what we really want are the sensations themselves. We don't really give a shit about the objects. This is obscuring, and this obscuring is important, specific work. It's the work of capitalism. It's the work of the system, the work that keeps us searching for something to quench a thirst that can't be satisfied because it's not our thirst. The social space of capitalism teaches us new needs we have every day, every moment. Cookware, clothing, keyboards, a car, a truck, a Jeep, tools, game console, new monitors, new gaming mice, streaming services, whatever it is. It's thrown at you in pieces, images that convince you to be the kind of person who needs it. The object doesn't matter. The commodity is irrelevant to the social world. I mean, every good capitalist knows this. What good capitalist doesn't exclaim how little any single object or commodity matters? Don't fixate, don't indulge on individual commodities. It's kind of weird how priests and capitalists yet again use that same language. Nietzsche probably has something to say about that. That they're talking about this odd desire, this almost disconnected desire, the sensation we're chasing. This is something that can be and is endlessly fucked with. See, look at TikTok. TikTok's infinite scrolls work this way. Seductive design that tricks children to want the latest skin in Fortnite. Whatever it is, we've built systems to seduce desire and create these images. The objects never stop piling in. This broken way desire functions, well, it's kind of two parts. It's made, one, through our own experiences. It's also taught to us by the world. We're forced to contend with both at once, and it is not easy to tell the difference. To say plainly, no object itself will ever satisfy your desire because your desire isn't for the object. It's for the experience that object affords. The image of the object, I would probably say better, and that image is built through your experience of life, but also through your experiences of images thrust into you thanks to modern media. It's fucking difficult to parse. And Christmas is this weird holiday where we give gifts. We struggle with buying things we want that are on sale because it's cheap, maybe even for ourselves, or spending time getting something someone needs, giving things that change them, that can impact them in their real life, not just the image of themselves. Of all the Christmas movies to get it right, my favorite, I think, is going to be Bill Murray's Scrooged.
It is important to remember the true meaning of Christmas.
Bill Murray plays this modernized remake of the Christmas Carol story from Dickens. It's a phenomenal film, I think genuinely hilarious, very, very dark humor, and it's set in this 80s hyper-materialistic Rita's Good Material Girl style society. But his last rant and the film is not anti-materialist. He doesn't talk about some magical spirit of the holiday that has nothing to do with stuff, presents, and gifts. Instead, it's explicitly that.
I'm not crazy. It's Christmas Eve. It's the one night of the year when we all act a little nicer. We smile a little easier. We share a little more. For a couple of hours out of the whole year, we are the people that we always hoped we would be. You have to do something. You have to take a chance. You do have to get involved. There are people that are having trouble making their miracle happen. There are people that don't have enough to eat. There are people that are cold. You can go out and say hello to these people. You can take an old blanket out of the closet and say, here. You can make them a sandwich and say, oh, by the way, here. I get it now. And if you give, then it can happen. Then the miracle can happen to you. It's not just the poor and the hungry. It's everybody who's got to have this miracle. And it can happen tonight for all of you. If you believe in this spirit thing, the miracle will happen, and then you'll want it to happen again tomorrow. You won't be one of these bastards who says Christmas is once a year and it's a fraud. It's not. It can happen every day. You just got to want that feeling. And if you like it and you want it, you'll get greedy for it. You'll want it every day of your life, and it can happen to you. I believe in it now. I believe it's going to happen to me now. I'm ready for it. It's great. It's a good feeling. It's really better than I've felt in a long time.
Far from cynical, it's a radical celebration of Christmas's deeper meaning. Not rejecting the material world, but seeing through the miasma to the human connections that the material world enables when we stop fixating on the objects as either fetishes of desire or a terrifying idol to be expelled because it corrupts the purity of our souls or whatever this bullshit is. We can take back the power that is wasted on fixation or castration. As he says, Christmas plays this odd moment in our lives every year where we're a bit nicer, we give a bit easier. We are the person we wish we could be year-round. At the end of the day, it's not the things, but it's not without them. We can't separate ourselves from the world. We are it. We shouldn't want to. The world we're in is quite real, and the things in it affect us quite really. So regardless of the day you are rising to, which may have guided you here, I hope maybe you will allow yourself that miracle, whether it's a sandwich, a towel, or even a washcloth in an empty home.